everyone. Welcome to day 3 of the challenge. So great job putting your selling points for an agent in the Facebook group. If I didn't get to all of you, if you put it in a little later, I had a bunch of clients this morning, and I will be looking again this evening at the Facebook. Lose the. That's what they said in the Social Network movie. Anyway, quoting movies. Great job at cutting down those things. If you're just joining us for the first time today, we asked you all to make a list of everything that you have that's worth money to an agent. Because starting towards the end of the week and next week, we're going to be building a pitch for you, a 1-minute pitch to get an agent. So we need to know what you have that an agent wants, right? So if you're just joining us today, just go back and look at the recordings and or go on the Facebook group and look at what some people put, so you can kind of get an idea of what I'm gonna go in here and make sure that there's no one trying to join, because like I get bad at that. And I know that Morgan was like, I think I saw Morgan come in, was like, I can't get into the Facebook group, which I'm so sorry, Morgan, that you couldn't. So hopefully you're all in there and you're able to post the things that you have that are worth money. Okay, so today we're going to actually talk about the agent and what you need from the agent and what your expectations are of the agent. Okay, so what expectations do you have for an agent to do for you and with you? I'd love to have you write that down, what you expect from an agent. I'm going to talk a little bit about what I expect from the agent, and you are welcome to steal whatever I say and make that your expectations. You don't need to be original at all. But this is what I expect at my agent. Number 1, communication. This is the thing that I hear from all of you all of the time. Well, Valerie, I signed with an agent and I never heard from them again. I mean, literally, how many of you guys have had that happen? You sign with an agent and you've never heard from them again. I have heard that so many times from you guys, right? Okay, so that is your fault. Because in the beginning meeting, you need to say first thing. Remember when the agent says, do you have any questions? Right? Here is the first thing you need to ask. How do you communicate with your clients? I literally had some people in London that were signed with an agent that the agent said, oh, we don't like to communicate with our clients. Okay. Please do not sign with an agent that says that. That's like a no-brainer. Don't do that, right? I think it's great if you can talk to your agent once a week, if they like emails, if they like texts. The important thing is you need to be able to get a hold of them when you need to be able to get a hold of them. Like when you start booking, like I've had a situation where more than once, where, I need to go to bed because I know my call time is going to be like 5 a.m. and no one's called me yet from set to give me my call time, right? Well, I have to in order to get ready to be at a call time at 5 a.m, I need to go to bed like by 9:30. So if you haven't called me by 9 or 9:30, we have a problem. So I call my agent and I say, agent, can you please find out what my call time is, because they haven't called me yet and I need to go to bed. Right? That's one thing. One time I was on a show called Workaholics and they wanted me to do an episode where I showed my boobs. Well, I have not had to show my boobs very many times in my career. So like hardly at all, except like twice, right? So I did not know that they were supposed to provide me pasties. I didn't know. I mean, like, I didn't know that. So anyway, there was a very famous actress on set with me, and she's like, Valerie, they're supposed to provide you spacey. So I called my agent, who was walking into a play at Denver Theater Center. He called me back immediately before he walked into the theater. And then the next day I had a bouquet of flowers and an apology in my trailer. I didn't really care. I'm not a shy person, so it's not like, wasn't like a big deal to me, but I didn't know that, right? And so, you know, a lot of times we enter this industry and we might have been in it for years and we find things out that we never knew, or maybe that's just me, but like, I don't always pay attention to everything, right? So anyway, that was like, but my agent was available on, a Friday night to call me back and deal with the situation. Or if you've ever had a forced call, like a forced call is when you don't think you're working the next day and they call you at 8 o'clock at night and they say, your call time tomorrow is 5 a.m. And you're like, I'm not working tomorrow. That's a forced call. When you get a forced call, then your agent has leverage to negotiate some special shit for you. Right. So, things like that, you need to have communication with your agent. And just to let your agent know, like this morning, my clients, we've been talking a lot about vertical content, like we talked about it yesterday and here. And agents aren't even really aware of it as much yet, because literally I started hearing about it in January. And then all of a sudden I had a couple clients that started making a buttload of money doing it. And then all of a sudden I heard Paul Ruddy was casting for it. So it's like brand new and it's blowing up really quickly. So I had a conversation with a client today who's really perfect for soap operas. I mean, she is like the queen bee bitch. That's what she plays. She's like perfect for vertical content. So I told her to write a letter to Paul Ruddy, get on the phone with her agent, say, hey, Paul Ruddy is casting this. It's perfect for me. Can we make this happen? Right. And so you need to be able to communicate with your agents to make a game plan for your career. Right. And there's nothing worse than trying to communicate with someone that takes 3 days to get back to you. So I expect when I communicate with my agent to them to get back to me that day. Right. And I have my agent's cell phone so I can text him. And, the other thing is, like, one thing that was really cool that happened out of COVID was, for the first time ever, 17-year relationship, my agent got to see me audition, because everything is self-tape. And so he never got to see me audition before. And he's like, oh, you're really good. I'm like, yeah, okay, thanks. But like, it's really cool that he gets to see that. So communication is number one. Make sure you ask that question when you have an interview. Okay, so business acumen, how do they conduct business? Like, the way that you're going to tell that is, it's hard sometimes before you actually sign with them. But if you get an interview and they come right back at you and the interview session goes very smoothly, you can tell that that company has SOPs, standard operating procedures. Anyone can start a business, but having standard operating procedures is a whole nother thing, right? Which means, like, when you come to my company, like, if you come to Actors Fast Track and you want to hire me, we have some programs, right? When you sign up for the programs, you're either paying me in full or you're doing a payment plan. If you're working with me and you're communicating with me, my clients on here will tell you I'm very quick on the draw. I always communicate back with my clients, right? If they need something that's technical, or they have an email called support at Actors Fast Track. Like, everything is a system and a way of doing business. Because here's what happens with actors a lot. We tend to change our business to fit an individual customer. We shouldn't do that. So if you are going to a casting workshop or an agent workshop, and the casting workshop says, the casting director says, I never hire anyone from emails. The first thing you need to say to yourself, only when you don't, because that's a lie. They have hired people from emails. I guarantee you. I'll give you an example. Suzanne Ryan, who casts like the Blacklist in New York, right? She used to say at all her casting workshops, if you email me, I'll never cast you. And I'm sitting in this casting workshop, which is when I realized that I really can't go to casting workshops anymore. But I'm sitting in this workshop and I'm thinking, that's not true, because my client emailed you and she got a role on the Blacklist. So you mean only when you don't. So, and also if like someone says to you, I don't like pitch videos. Remember what we said yesterday. That just means that they've had one bad experience, right? So you can't form your company to fit everyone's need. You have to decide how you do business and what's okay with you and what's not okay with you. And you need to stand by your systems and the way that you do things. Now, that doesn't mean you don't listen to your agent. Like if your agent says, hey, I really need this picture because I feel like I can get you more auditions. Or can you just divide your reel up into clips for me? Or can you do a slate shot on Actors Access for me? Or, if you have an agent that's really communicating with you well and telling you what they need from you to get the job done, that's great. You want to have that. You want to have someone that is a partner to you, right? Is a partner to you. They think they're the boss of you. They're not. Listen, when I first started this company 12 years ago, so I'm cleaning my glasses because I have something on them. But anyway, when I first started this company 12 years ago, I hired coaches, like business coaches, to help me build it. And a lot of those people didn't know, like I was the first actor they had ever met, right? And I'll never forget this, you guys. I hired this business coach who still works for me. And she said, okay, wait a minute, explain something to me. So you hire an agent or they decide they want to work with you and they're a commission-based salesperson. Is that correct? I'm like, yes. She goes, but they don't pay for your headshots. They don't pay for your self-tapes. They don't pay for your audition equipment. They don't pay for your acting career. And I'm like, yeah, no, they don't pay for anything. And maybe Actors No Access or whatever, right? But no, they don't pay for anything. She's like, and yet you're not allowed to sell to your customers. I'm like, yes. She goes, that makes no sense. I'm like, thank you. That's why I started this company. If an agent tells you that you're not allowed to reach out to casting directors, and producers and writers, get another agent. If they are getting you in the room 5 times a week for major stuff, then let them do their job. You don't need to be pitching to casting directors if they're getting you in the room 5 times a week because they're doing that. But if they're not getting you that type of audition on a regular basis, then you need to be doing it for yourself. You need to be doing it for yourself regardless, because they're not contacting producers, writers, and directors. You need to be doing that. You need to be building your relationships with those people. Okay, so how do they run their business? You need to be aware of that, right? And if you go into the office for a meeting, notice how they treat their employees. That'll be a big sign to you, right? Do they say please and thank you? Are they nice to the people that work for them? That's a big thing. And also how they respond to you. If it takes them 3 days, they say they're going to get you a contract and you don't see it for 2 weeks, that's a red flag, y'all. Right? Because that's not cool. So make sure that you're really clear about how they do business. That's the second thing that's important to me. It's not as important to me that they pick up the phone and pitch me, because I do that for myself. And also because I've been a working actress for a long time. So most people know me. So I don't really need the pitch factor as much. And if I really want something and I know I'm right for something, I'm going to pick up the phone. Now, I know that if I called my agent and I said, hey, they're doing this project and I'm exactly right for it, can you get me an audition for it? That he would do whatever he could to get me an audition. But so a lot of my clients have expectations of that they call and pick up the phone and pitch you. That's not necessarily true for me. Another expectation might be that they always negotiate above scale. So once you get a few credits, and like when I get an audition and it's for a co-star and it's like 3 scenes, I know very well that I'm not going to get a co-star. My agent will negotiate it up to a guest star because I have a lot of guest stars on my resume, and if it's a 3 scene co-star, you're going to have to pay me guest star rate. Right? So will I take it if it's Law and Order SVU? Fuck yes, I will take it. If it's a 3 scene co-star and it's like 1 week of working, yeah, I'll take it. Trust me. But my agent, I know, is a good negotiator. And so that's important to me, that someone that tries to get me more money than is given, than is offered. At least someone that's not afraid to negotiate. And then I think, like, really last, you're really looking for someone that thinks outside the box, someone that's a risk taker, something that you haven't heard before. Most of you, a lot of you have had agents, and you probably feel like you've heard the same thing over and over again. So things are changing out there very rapidly. And so if I were you, I'd be looking for someone that's got, and don't ever try to hide something from an agent, because they'll always learn that. Like, talk to an agent face to face as you, don't hide anything. And, really, we don't want to go into agent meetings the minute, because this happens. I want to represent you. And then what happens? I'm like, oh, great. You sign a contract without it getting anyone to look at it. Right? You don't really take time to think about the meeting that you had, right? Because it's like just exciting to be wanted, right? A lot of you have been looking for an agent for a long time, or been wishing you got an acting gig for a long time. So you have this like need inside of you that's being fulfilled when an agent says they want to work with you, right? And so don't be so excited to sign with an agent, right? Like, if they want to sign with you, say, great, let me take a look at the contract, have my attorney take a look at the contract, even if you don't have an attorney. But I recommend that you either get an attorney that, I mean, you can get like prepaid legal insurance for like $37-47 a month, and you can get someone to look at a contract for you. Some of you have lawyers in the family or friends of friends that are lawyers, and say, hey, if I throw you $150, can you just look at this contract and tell me if anything is wrong on it? Here's what I'm seeing a lot. So in contracts, here's what's happening. If you get an offer for scale plus 10 and your agent takes 20% because you're non-union and the agreement was 20%, here's what a lot of agents are doing. They're taking that plus 10 plus an additional 20. That's 30%. And here's what they're going to tell you. Oh, that's what it's supposed to be. No. No, 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 no. If you sign a contract for 20%, that's what they take, 20%. Great. If you get a plus 10, you only have to pay 10% because the company that hired you is paying the other 10% for you. All right. They don't get an additional 10%. Please, no matter who you sign with, watch your money. If you have been an actor for any amount of time, you have been ripped off by an agent. Watch your money. Right? Please. I have had clients that I had a client that had $60,000. I'm going to repeat that. $60,000 ripped off from him. Right? He made $1 million, but the person took. And it wasn't until he signed with a new agent that he realized she was double dipping. It's called double dipping. No, it's illegal. And he took her to court, but he didn't get all the 60,000 back. And it cost him money to take her to court. Depending on where you live, like if you live in California, it's going to cost you an additional 30,000 to take someone to court. So, you know, without you can really get your money, then, you know, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So those are things that matter to me when I'm looking for an agent or I'm signing with a new agent. As far as like who they have relationships with, or, you know, I guess the other thing is like, can I get a submit? You know, a lot of times when you ask an agent for a submission report, they think that you're asking them for that because they're not doing their job. The reason you're asking for a submission report is so you can see who you're getting submitted for that's not calling you in. Because then you need to know who you need to go out and work on building a relationship with. So when you get submitted, they will call you in, right? So it's not about the agent, but agents are just as fucking sensitive sometimes as actors are. So, you know, you might want to ask, hey, every 6 months, can I get a submission report from you guys? You know, because some of them are so sensitive about that. You know, it's like, what? Okay, right? This is business. You know, keep your emotion for the screen or the stage. Like, not in the business. Try to keep it out of the business. I know that's easier said than done because we're super sensitive people and it's really hard not to get emotional about things, right? But you know, you've got to work really hard on keeping business to be business. Okay. Yes, Zulima, what's your question?
Hi, everybody. Good morning.
Good morning.
The question I have is when you are initially having your interview and you say, do you keep in contact? And if so, every how often? One of the examples you used was on a weekly basis. What exactly do you talk about on a weekly basis?
Okay, so great question. It doesn't have to be on a weekly basis. I do have a client that's signed with Bohemia Group. That's his manager. And every week he meets with his manager and they have a powwow about what she's trying to get him in for, about what he needs to be doing, about what new pictures he might need, or what she thinks would help, right? They talk about that, right? And they're friends. So, you know, you don't have to be friends with your agent. I don't do that with my agents. I give them, I just, how do you communicate with your agent? It could be like we communicate by text. Great. So when you sign with them, make sure you get the cell phone number that you're going to be texting with, right? How do you communicate? Well, we like it when you email us. Okay, great. What about a monthly meeting? Would that, you need to know what's going to be okay for you, Zulima. If you want a meeting, I think a weekly meeting is maybe good if you have a manager. I mean, Michael, my client, is doing top of show guest stars and recurring guest stars on TV shows. So it makes sense that he would be having a weekly meeting because he's trying to, become a series regular. That's his goal right now. So, but that's just Bohemia Group, and that's his relationship with Susan Ferris, right? That's his relationship with her. So I trust, I love my agent. I mean, I love him as a business person. As a person, not so much. Like, he's not my jam, right? Like, so I would not want to meet with my agent once a week. I mean, like, really, seriously, I wouldn't. Because if my manager was Susan Ferris, I'd want to meet with her once a week because she smokes cigars. She's awesome, right? But like, I really don't want to meet with my agent once a week. That's just me, right? So I think you have to ask yourself, what do you want? But it's important to be really clear about how to communicate with them. So if they don't communicate with you, you can say, in our meeting on July 17th, you said that you tend to text people. So I notice I'm texting you and I'm not hearing back from you. Is there a different way you would like to be communicated with? So then you have something to hold over them.
Okay, so basically, just as a rundown, just as an example, then you talk about, you know, maybe if you need any new type of pictures, what type of roles you want to be cast for, and uh, maybe ask for a monthly meeting if it's necessary.
Yeah, I mean, I think that a monthly meeting would be great. I think a monthly meeting would be fantastic. Okay, we submitted you for this many projects, you got this many auditions. Um, the best agent I ever had in all the agents I've ever had, the best one I ever had who quit to become a therapist, hilarious. But she would call me, like, for instance, if she couldn't get me in for a casting director, she kept submitting me and she knew the part was right for me. She would call me like, hey, can you run over there and drop off your headshot so they can see you in person? So, because I think if they see you in person, they're going to want to see you for this audition. Like, we would jam like that. Like, she was a real partner, right? Or I had this other really good agent that when I was in Chicago for a brief time, and I was really right for this Top of Show guest star. It's the very first TV show I ever booked was a Top of Show guest star. And um and I said, "Oh, who's the casting director?" And she said, Jane Alderman. Jane Alderman was a casting director in Chicago that was also a teacher of mine in acting school. She did not like me. She was not a fan of mine. So as soon as I found out it was her, I said, listen, she doesn't like me. And she's like, oh, no problem. So she went to the producers and got me the audition and I booked it. That's how I booked it, right? She went around Jane Alderman. And then like months later, Jane Alderman called me in for Angels in America at Steppenwolf. And she was like, oh, we really enjoyed seeing you on Missing Persons. Like that. I was like, yeah, bitch, I got that because my agent went around you. So, like, you need to be able to communicate with your agents about things like that. Or, oh, listen, we keep trying to get you in for Julie Ashton in LA. Great. I'm going to go do a workshop with her, or I'm going to write her a letter or whatever. She has a lot of roles that are right for you, but she doesn't seem to be wanting to. So, like, if you could have some kind of meeting like that, that would be very helpful.
You know, you just reminded me of something. They also have to be, if we are SAG-AFTRA, they also have to be like SAG-AFTRA listed or whatever, right? Because I remember one time I signed with an agent years ago, and then he never once sent me into an audition. And then later I found out it was because he wasn't submitting anything
If
for
he's an
SAG-AFTRA.
agent, he's supposed to be SAG-AFTRA affiliated. Some of them are not. Some of them that are actually good have they're good agents to some people. But there's one in specific I'm thinking about in LA who has gotten several warnings from SAG-AFTRA. They're in super trouble with SAG-AFTRA. However, they have a couple of my clients, and my clients work all the time with them. I think that they're also crazy. But like, I think that you have to be careful of people that aren't SAG affiliated. That doesn't mean they can't get you auditions. I just think that there are people out there that aren't.
Okay.
And
And I can
remember
look up
that
that.
managers don't have to be that.
Oh, okay. And they can look up that, we can look up that list on the SAG website, right?
Yeah.
Of the ones that are affiliated.
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hey, Max.
Hey, Valerie, thank you so much for doing this. This is such a cool thing to be a part of.
Great.
My question is that what's a typical like payout timeline that you experience with agents? I remember one time I booked something, I was super excited about it. I didn't get paid for like 3 months, and it was like
Oh,
the
okay.
diminishing value of those dollars. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's a month. It should be a month.
Okay.
They have 2 weeks. If it's a SAG-AFTRA job, they have 2 weeks to pay your agent, and your agent has 2 weeks to pay you.
Okay.
So it should be a month. Listen, years ago, I had a client that did a State Farm commercial non-union, and I then did a State Farm commercial union. She tells me that which I didn't even know, she said she had never been paid for it. And it was like we were meeting in October and she had done the commercial in May.
Oh no.
And her agent wasn't doing anything about it. So literally, this is what I did. And this is a lesson to all of you. I picked up the phone. She had the production number because you're going to have the production number from your call sheet or your contract. Always save that, everyone. I called them. I said, hi, this is Valerie Hubbard. I represent blah, blah, blah. And she did a commercial with you in May and we haven't received that check. When can we expect it? We'd like to see it in the next 4 days. She had that check in the next 4 days. I did
That's
her
awesome.
agent's job for her. Right? I don't know why the agent couldn't do that damn job. Right? Like, again, that's an agent that's not a good negotiator because I literally picked up the phone and got, so Max, we're actually teaching a class to our clients coming up on negotiating because I'm finding that more and more we have to do that. We have to, it's your money. 3 months is not cool. Right? And definitely get on the phone. Definitely get on the phone, either with the production company or with your agent and saying, listen, it's 3 months. You have 2 days to get me this check or I'm going to get it myself. You need to like, boom, don't pussyfoot around these people. Because listen, I can tell you, J. Michael Bloom was a very famous commercial agent in the 80s in New York City. He closed because he had a cocaine problem and he took thousands of dollars of actors' monies with him. Right? I lost 1,000, but I know people that lost 30, 40,000. Right? So, y'all, it's your money. Make sure you're tight about it.
Thank you.
You're welcome, Max. Katarina. Hello, my little filmmaker.
Hello, I love it when you pronounce my name like that. So actually, I was wondering if I should change it to Kate. And I think it was you who convinced me because, and also another American friend, she said Katarina has such a nice ring to it. So I stuck with Katarina.
I mean, I love Katarina.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like it too. So, and it's my given name, so it makes sense that it's also my stage name. Okay, I do have a couple of questions. The first one is it realistic for me to ask for an international agent out of Austria? I mean, I'm willing to travel, but realistically, I will never travel to America. So it's rather productions that will be shot in Poland or Slovenia.
I think that you should focus on an agent that's working, you should work in the international room when you pitch yourself. You're going to pitch yourself on the 28th, right?
Yes, I am.
Okay. You should definitely pitch in the international room because a lot of the people that are going to be there are people that think outside the box. And also because so much shit is being cast out of London and being shot in Austria, Croatia, Romania, it's being shot all around you. And, you can't help but turn on the Apple TV and everything is cast out of there. Right? So
True.
Yeah. So
it gets cast out of London, I think, a lot.
Yeah, it is. But, Randall's booking stuff in Austria.
He is, yes. He is, but also he's a native English speaker, which I'm not. So you will always hear my accent, and I'm very, very bad with dialects or accents. So I don't pass off as a Texan or British or whatever.
Right, I get that. But there is castability for you, so don't worry about that. And at the same time, I do have a very good close friend who is one of the #1 dialect coaches in the world. She coached Colin Firth for the King's Speech. Michelle knows her, Amy Chafee. And she works at Tulane University in New Orleans, but she would be, I could introduce you to her she's a little expensive, but it's worth your time to maybe start working on that if you're not already. But don't worry about that.
Actually, I'm working with Randall on that too. Yeah.
Oh, you are great. Even better. Cheaper. Yeah. So I think, just keep working on that, but don't worry about that. I mean, there's plenty of stuff that they would hire you with your accent right off the bat. I was thinking about Wednesday, which shoots in Romania, which, that's a show that would definitely use your accent.
I can also do a great Russian accent in English.
Well, there you go.
Okay. Can I also say that my agent in Austria, she's really awesome. So she pitched me for a role that the casting director didn't want me to audition for, and I booked the part, and it's my biggest part so far. So I want somebody who is as awesome as her. Does it also show that I do have that I care about a good relationship with the agent, or is it more like, is it giving off the wrong vibes?
No, I mean, I think if you have a great relationship with someone and you want to add someone to your team and have a great relationship with them, I think that's a great thing. I
Yeah.
think that's great. I mean, I think it's like, if you have a great relationship and you want to continue to have great relationships, that's awesome. You should have that, right? And different agents and managers over the years offer different strengths, right? And so, yeah, I mean, if you get meetings from your pitch, take every meeting that you get. And then, I'll help you decide.
Cool.
Take
Thank you.
notes, right? And that goes for anyone that's pitching. If you get multiple meetings, take them all, right? And then decide what you want to do after that, right? Yeah. Okay.
Okay, yes. And my last question, because verticals, I know they are taking off in America, but I think nobody has heard here. But I'm really good at writing stuff. And I could totally picture myself as the mom to the main person, as the kind of mean mom. So if I write that, what would be, I also have, because I already produced something, I already have the team at hand, kind of. So, but what is the best platform? Should I start on YouTube Shorts? Because there is no market, literally no market. And I would also produce it in German, most probably.
Okay, what I would recommend is, first of all, start doing research on vertical content, because there's a lot of apps that it lives on. Vertical content. We're gonna have Catherine come in the mastermind and talk about vertical content. So make sure you listen to that recording when we do that. We're gonna do that shortly. Okay, so because I do think there's a lot of things that I'm thinking when you said that. I'm thinking that you could sell scripts to vertical content. Right? You don't even have to do it. Or you could sell scripts with you in it. Right? Right. So you could do that, or you could shoot them for a company. I mean, there's a lot of different directions that you could go. There's already existing apps. Okay.
Did you know of some? No, I will just research if they are also available on the German-speaking market, because it is a quite large market.
Well, I think they should
think.
be, because I know the German market very well. And, because I've had a lot of German clients, as you know, and they are very soap opera in Germany.
They're crazy. Yes.
I think it's going to take off. I think it's just now taking off in America. I think you're going to see it for sure in Germany. Oh my God. All my clients do in Germany that work in Germany are soap operas. Like Mark Schottner, Mark Schottner, like he's Mr. Soap Opera of Germany. Like he keeps.
I think it's only soap operas and procedurals.
You guys, this is a client of mine that like keeps coming here trying to have a career. He's booked a few TV shows, but he keeps getting called back to Germany because he's like the soap opera hunka. So yeah, I think it should do well there. I want you to go, your assignment is to go do some research on it, because again, I don't know enough about it. Literally, I just watched it blow up since January. So we're going to start covering it more in group. Okay. All right.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Isa, dzień dobry, pani, jak się ma?
Oh my gosh. Hi, Valerie. Oh, I love the Polish. Sorry, I need to slow down my treadmill because I'm thinking too much at the same time. But yeah, anyway, I would say I'm good on my end. I love what you're talking about, love what you're doing. I'm in a weird situation with my agencies because for the past few years, especially with the strike, I've been learning so much about my relationships with my agents. And I would say here in America, I have my managers, which are pretty nice. They're good, but they're very simple. Like when I And when I say, like write them emails, they're like, oh yeah, okay, this, that, we'll submit you. Like often when I'm like, oh, I see this project is going to pre-production, they're like, okay, we'll once the breakdowns come out, we'll submit you. We'll see what is there. Well, my agent, as you know, is it okay if I name drop the agents or no?
Yeah, that's fine.
So Stuart, they're great. They don't I don't communicate with them much. I more communicate with my managers. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure, is that okay, or should I communicate with them directly? Because I also
Well,
don't want to
okay,
bother them. I
that
know
is a
that.
great question, because they told you, you know, that's the way it's sort of the culture is, that your manager communicates for you to the agent,
Mhm.
right? You know,
Yeah.
Stewart, New York is a little crazy. And I know they're a good agent, and you get big auditions, and you've had huge auditions, and you're beginning to really book and things like that. So you have a good team. Things are happening for you, Issa. So I don't really want you to upset the apple cart. I think that if you know, if you really want to communicate with them about something specific, that you should be able to, if you're paying someone when you book work, you need to be able to communicate with them.
Yeah, I
But
get it.
knowing that literally he's a little crazy, right? I'm just saying that, you know, I had a client that was with them, and she's still with them commercially, and she makes a lot of money for them. But she was with them theatrically, and she booked Diary of Anne Frank. She was Anne Frank at the only theater outside of DC, which is a huge regional, very important theater. The Washington Post said it was the most prolific production of Anne Frank ever because of her performance. And the first day it opened, they dropped her. Stuart.
I wonder why.
No one knew. And so I called my agent, who picked her up in 5 seconds, but he said, oh, he told me, yeah, that's because they're crazy. Right? So I just don't want you, because you've got a real good thing happening now. You've got a great manager, you're getting big auditions. I don't want you, I would rather have you out there doing what we've been talking about you doing, like pushing yourself out there to producers and directors and building those relationships, than over here messing in the pot, so to speak. Does that make sense?
It does, because I would say, like Stuart Talent, I've been I just like respect them because I know they're a big agency.
Yeah.
What I've been seeing is that I know they also they have a lot of clients,
Yeah.
and I just don't want to be like a dime in a dozen.
Yeah.
Whereas recently, I believe I told you, I just came in contact with another agent who's Polish, and he's submitting me for UK breakdowns. And he's very open to the fact that, like, oh, I might as well, like, he told me, like, if there's a breakdown that you like, let me know. I might as well like send it to the production company if the casting director, if I'm not too familiar with them, or if they like I know they're more like iffy. Like, he has good relationships in the industry. And I know he's like an agent that would fight for me, because right now, like, he's like, hey, when you get a chance, call me. We could talk about this. Like, he's very proactive with it. And sorry, it's my phone. But that's one thing. And then I also have my UK agents that I started with ages ago, but they're a smaller agency. So
Yeah.
I'm not sure. I'm like jumping around with many different things. And I
Yeah.
feel like what you said, in UK and in Europe, I'll most likely like grow there because it's a smaller market. I'm more emphasizing on them, and as opposed to Stuart and my current manager.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure what to focus on. What should I push more?
You should
Because
be focusing on getting work, building relationships with people, and also building this relationship with this Polish agent, because you're right. He really believes in you. He's great, and he's a go-getter. So let him go get, right? And then the best man wins. If he keeps working for you, and like at one point I had an agent and a manager, and then at one point I realized I was booking all these things, and basically I kept asking the manager for something different, and he wasn't giving me that. So I basically had 2 people doing the exact same job. When you realize that you have 2 people doing the exact same job, you don't need to be paying 2 people to do the exact same job. So that's when I dropped the manager. I decided which one I was going to stay with, right? So, you know, like if the Polish guy really takes off and he's really getting you in the room, then you need to really maybe have a conversation about getting rid of Stuart, because if they're not, you know, but that's down the road. I would rather have you be focused on looking for acting work and building relationships with producers and directors, just like you've been doing. That needs to be your focus, okay?
Yes.
Yeah. So, because here's what happens, Isa. I got to move on, but here's what happens. Isa, you're a lot of times, and this is for everyone, you guys have the doors locked to your business, and you're back here with your ass turned to the door going, okay, wait a minute. You need to do this more, agent. You need to do, right? Like you guys are fucking too involved in the back end of your store, not the front end where the customers are coming in and paying you to act. You need to be focused on those people, not on, you know, like you have Issa, you have too many agents, but let them work themselves out. Let the cream rise to the top. Do you know how many times my friend Kate Walsh fired her agent?
Okay, a lot.
And you want to know what's funny? She came back around to Gersh again. She fired them before. She fired APA, Gersh, UTA, like she fired everyone, right? Like I've seen a lot of famous actors do that over and over again, right? We get so like, oh my God, I can't lose anyone. Yes, you can. But like, just allow them to work it out and allow the person that really shines to shine. And then you'll know who that is. Okay?
Gotcha. And
all right, Isa.
You say head honchos sending to bigger directors, producers is fine. It's like it's not going to be a dime a dozen.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Yes. Yes. Okay. Hi, Wayne. Come on down. Unmute.
Mike, can you hear me?
Yes.
Don't, are some contract of a 90-day clause? Like say that, they're not booking you any work. Are you given that option as well?
Yeah, usually in a SAG contract, there's a 90-day thing that you can get out of if they're not doing anything for you. But on the other side of that, Wayne, it's like, remember when you sign with a new agent, it takes time because they have to let people know, their people know that they're working with you. And just like, you know, in marketing, they'll tell you that you need to get in front of a customer with your product 10 to 15 times before they're going to buy from you. Okay. So an agent, it takes a time sometimes when we don't realize an agent's behind the scene trying to get you in for this, trying to get you in for this, trying to get free, right? And so they don't get in for that one. And then they try on the next project, trying to get you in. So, you know, you don't see what they're doing for free because you haven't paid them any commission. So you've got to give them time to really do their job.
Another thing, say we're to sign with somebody. Can I take my contract to a lawyer? I say it's SAG-AFTRA or Equity. You know, they would have lawyers there. Wouldn't they to look at it, make sure it's okay?
Yeah, I mean, every actor should have access to an agent. I mean, to an attorney, because at some point you're going to need it, y'all.
Yeah.
Right. You're going to need an attorney. So, you know, it's important to have, you know, to not sign anything without really investigating that it's an accurate thing and be really clear about what you're, you know, contracts aren't that hard to read. It's just like a lot of gobbledygook. And so sometimes, you know, we're like, oh my God, I can't. But like, you know, we can learn how to read them. It's not impossible.
All right. Thank you.
All right. You're welcome. Hey, Rachel.
Hey.
Hi.
Okay, so I have the opposite problem that I think a lot of people have. This is both a general question about agents and also specific, but I have a fantastic relationship with my agent who I've had for 4 years. I have great communication with him. I can literally call him night or day, whatever. But I only get about 3 or 4 theatrical auditions a year from him.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm hearing everything you're saying about so much. There's so much that I need to be doing on my end to be pulling those auditions in. So I'm getting that and hearing
Yeah.
that.
Yes.
I think my question is, you know, in the context though of like choosing who to work with as an agency, I mean, shouldn't there be some type of expectation around them bringing stuff in? I mean, isn't that, a big part of their job, and shouldn't that be a consideration? And, how do I know whether, the amount they're bringing in is, I mean, I guess that's where I'm at, because I'm trying to decide whether or not to stay with him. So I'm
Mhm.
trying to just, understand whether or not there is just a number, some of it is a numbers consideration, like, are they bringing stuff in or not? And how much, and when do I know if it's enough or not enough, or, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I'm only 4 years into my career, I will just say. So obviously in your position, you
Yeah.
have, I mean, I have some established relationships, but you have a lot, and you're a working actor. So perhaps for you, a lot of it does happen through your relationships, and I'm a little bit newer. So it has to be, I just feel like it has to be on both ends, and I'm not
Yeah.
sure how to know yeah, that's my question.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it's great that you have a great relationship, and I think that's important. I don't think it's the most important thing though. I don't particularly like my agent as a, like, one time someone stole his Christmas present that worked in his office. And so I felt bad. I know it was
Okay.
it was like $100 Starbucks card that I give him every year, and someone stole it. And so I felt bad. So I took him out to dinner. Oh my God. Right. Like, and then my mother came, and it's like, okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
so I just don't want to hang out with my agent. And so I think it's more important to have a good working relationship. I don't think that's enough auditions for you. Looking at your IMDb, I do think you need some definition in what you're selling. And we are talking, I believe. So
Yes.
we can do more of that in our conversation. I think that might help. I do also think that you need to be building relationships with the decision makers, which will also help. Now, that being said, I think it might help you to bring on a manager just until you get your foot in the door and you really start booking. And then you can do what I did, because that's what I did. When I was 41, I moved to LA, and I had a bunch of credits in New York, but it didn't really matter. And what happened was I got an agent that fell off that he disappeared. Right. So I had been in conversation with a manager. And so thank God I got this manager, and that's when my career really started taking off. And then I brought an agent on because he insisted on it. And then I had an agent and manager, which means I was paying out 20%. And it was worth it for a while because I was booking a lot, right? And so I feel like having double team was good. But then at some point, I was able to look at that and say, okay, now I have two people that are doing the same job, and I don't need two people doing the same job. So then I got rid of one of them, right? So I think that it might, since you like him so much and you have a good relationship, I would bring a manager on if I were you, and be willing to pay out that double fee right now, just to get to put some gasoline in your tank. And then also just talk to me about, like, maybe defining what you're putting out there more, and also getting in touch with your decision makers more, because you're waiting for
Okay.
this one person to get you auditions, and that's like the slow boat to China.
Yeah, totally.
Right. And I
Okay.
see, and it is a circle of 10, right?
Yeah, and I know he has a very large client list, and I know he also has another full-time job, and I don't know how he does it, but I do know that he submits me very regularly, because I have looked at the submission
Yeah, so my
reports.
friend Elizabeth
but-
Grayson is his number one client.
Oh, yeah, I know who that is. Yeah.
Okay, so she's his number one client. She's a friend of mine. She's a filmmaker. That's how we know each other. Yeah, and he has a good list. I mean, so he has relationships. I think that you're not a priority.
Yeah.
Even though he likes you, you're not a priority. Elizabeth's his priority because she has the lower number and she's gonna book.
Yeah.
right? If she wants to book. She's really not
Yeah.
acting that much anymore. But right. So he has other people that are ahead of you that are booking more, that are therefore making him more money. So
Uh-huh.
so that's another thing. You're not his priority.
Yeah. Okay.
When you have a big number, you have a big star meter, like, like, well, let's get that star meter down. Let's get knowing more people. And then I think bringing a manager on would be the remedy for you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. I just a question, I think in general too, with, looking at how to evaluate a relationship and knowing whether or not, what number is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's really not
yeah,
a
but
number,
anyway.
but he's also
Yeah.
got Smack Lewis. Smack is he's amazing. I'm gonna start working with him soon. He's got a lot of people I know. He's got a lot of old clients and current clients, so I know this list very well.
Okay.
Yeah, he's got a big list, but so does Courtney Peldon at Aqua, and she's amazing.
Okay.
So
Okay. All right.
I don't really worry
Okay.
about list size as much. Okay. All right. Thanks for
Okay. Thank you. Yep.
Kim.
Hello and good morning, everyone.
Hi.
Do we have homework?
Yes, it's to make a list of expectations of agents.
Sorry, somehow or another I missed that and I apologize.
That's okay.
Secondly, where do you find a list of agents?
Where do you find a list of agents?
Mm-hmm.
That's a good question. Probably on Backstage. I mean, Backstage puts out this thing that used to be called the Ross Reports. I'm sure you remember that, Kim.
Oh yeah.
It's now called Call Sheet. And if you go on Backstage, you can get a full listing of all the agents in all of North America.
Okay, so San
You
Francisco
can also
included.
Google agents.
I've tried that.
And it was like, yeah, no.
Well, there's like you were talking, the top couple, like in here is Stars is the big agency.
Yeah.
But sadly, also, if you do that, you don't get requested to go audition very often because they use their top people and they don't consider the smaller fish in the sea.
Yeah. So there's this thing called Agent Blasters. Some of you might have heard about it. I personally think it works better in LA than it does in New York. But Agent Blasters is a company where you go in and they send out whatever you deem you want them to send out to all of the agents that are supposedly looking for people in Los Angeles. It works pretty well. It's called Agent Blasters.
Okay. Yeah. My biggest problem is I'm in San Francisco. I know LA is not that far. So that's not a problem. So
yeah.
Great.
Yeah. But also like the Call Sheet, and they put out a book of it, but the Call Sheet, they have that on Backstage, and and they have a listing of every agent and all over the United States and North America.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Look at you, a fountain of information.
Well, there you go. All right. Hey, Alexis.
Hi, how's it
Hi.
going?
Good.
Really good talk. Thank you for having me and for writing me on there because I got a lot of information. This feels a little off topic, just a little bit, but from actor to actor, I am wondering how you feel about kind of the social media presence. I have a big LinkedIn presence, but my Instagram and TikTok, I kind of have an aversion to it. I feel, should I be utilizing this more? I have my agent. I kind of feel like someone who spoke a couple people ago, I like him a lot. It doesn't get me a ton of auditions like he has in the past. So just basically social media. What do you think? Should I be kind of pushing that?
I think that AI is not going anywhere. I think that AI is going to consistently get bigger. What we have seen in the last year, so all the studios now are using AI to run their scripts through. And what happened as a result of that is that they realized that they could also do the casting with that. So one of the companies is called Largo AI, right? So Sony has a contract with Largo AI. And what they do is they run their scripts through it. Why is AI good for that? Because you used to have a human look at a script and tell you, you know, what the profit margin was going to be. Now you have a computer that does that, and it's 80% accurate.
Wow.
Okay, it's 80% accurate. Here comes my client, so let me just tell her, hold on, Anna, and then we'll start. It's 80% accurate. So that means that they're doing that because they can guarantee a certain profit margin for their script because AI is more accurate than a human. Okay, so the problem that what's going to happen is they are going to start casting using AI. I'm sorry, just with a year that casting directors get to get nominated for an Oscar, this is the bad news for them. So, you know, it's just like, you know, people that work for McDonald's should probably find another job because you're going to be replaced by a machine. So, you know, I think that how AI works is SEO.
Yeah.
And social media helps your SEO, your search engine optimization. Now, LinkedIn helps that. A website helps that.
Yeah.
You guys, when I talk to a new actor, I'm always looking at their, I'm always Googling you. If you're going to talk to me, I'm going to Google you. If nothing comes up about you and you have no picture on IMDb Pro, I'm going to be like, what are you doing? Right? Like, you've got to have presence on the internet, and social media is going to do that for you. So I used to say social media was negotiable. Now I say it's mandatory. You don't need, and you know, we actually have a social media course in our Actors Biz School. You know, we have a lot of courses and classes about it. We also have a Chat GPT for Actors course. You know, Chat GPT is an amazing thing. What they can give you an entire social media plan, right? You do not have to be about your acting. It doesn't have to be about your acting. It could be about you love to cook. It could be about your pets. It could be social media either needs to be about entertainment, current topics, information, or inspiration. Right?
Yeah.
So think about what you like, because if I'm a casting director and I've been looking at actors all day and I'm on my way home and I'm scrolling Instagram or TikTok, the last thing I'm going to go look at is actors.
Totally. Right.
I'm going to be looking at the
Good
things
point.
that interest me as a human being, which
Right.
is, you know, me, it's politics and dogs and cooking videos.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, we all have different things. I know Zulema is pets, right? Like, Zulema's like, yeah, that's me, right? And so,
Hey, I just had a birthday party for my dog on Saturday, and I have to post it on social media still.
Happy birthday.
right? So, hey, Anna, I'll be right with you, Anna. I love you. Okay, so
No problem.
yeah, so that's what I would say. And so, yes, you need to have it. We also have. Do you use LinkedIn for your acting career?
I have on there, I have my business stuff, but I have my IMDb and my website linked.
Okay, because you know
on
that
that.
every showrunner in the world is on LinkedIn.
Yeah, I add people from the industry, from the entertainment
Yeah.
industry. I
Right.
like
So
that's
are
what
you
I
are
use.
you using it to get meetings?
No, I've just added a ton of people right now.
Ding, 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 ding. Yeah. Okay. Right.
Cool.
Like,
Yeah.
And you're gonna come to my booth the next 3 days.
Yeah,
Okay,
love
so
to.
this is going to be open starting at 9 a.m. Pacific Eastern time tomorrow morning till 4 p.m. Eastern time tomorrow morning. So when you guys come in at 1, I'm going to hit record. Regina, please remind me. I have a posted here that says record challenge. So when you guys come in tomorrow, I'm going to hit record, but I'm going to be here all day answering questions. We're going to be talking about agent pitch. But you and I, Alexis, you should get on my calendar and we have a separate conversation. But you know, you can definitely be using LinkedIn for your acting career. I have a client that's booked all kinds of stuff using LinkedIn. I have several clients that have booked all kinds of stuff using LinkedIn. It's really it's really good for that.
Right, and if you use that sales, you can use that premium thing and get everyone.
Sales Navigator, baby.
Right,
Yep.
right. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
I'll
All
set
right.
something
Listen, I love you all. I will see you guys tomorrow if you want to join me at 9 a.m. Pacific time, Eastern time. Why am I saying this specific way? 9 a.m. Eastern time. I will be here till 4 p.m. tomorrow Eastern time. All right. I'll see y'all tomorrow. Bye, everyone.
Thanks, Valerie.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.